She discovered an amazing love in the arms of a stranger, who was revealed to be a millionaire. The crisp autumn winds danced through the streets of Brookfield, a small Midwestern town where everyone knew everyone else's business. It was a sleepy place, people said, but for Sarah, every corner was alive with possibilities and riddled with challenges. As she stepped into the community center that evening, the warmth of the room enveloped her, mixing with the faint scent of cinnamon and nutmeg from a nearby potluck, that is when she noticed Jake. He stood at the back, his easy smile thawing the tension in the room. Dressed in a casual button-down shirt and jeans, he didn't look like a man with enough money to fill a swimming pool with gold coins, yet there was an air of quiet confidence about him that piqued her curiosity. As he approached her with a casual stride, Sarah's heart quickened. Did this stranger really pull at her heartstrings like a captivating melody? Need an extra hand? He offered, his voice smooth like honey. Sarah nodded, a playful grin breaking through her exhaustion. Just trying to organize this gala for families in need. It feels like it won't come together. Jake jumped right in, flipping through papers, brainstorming ideas that flowed smoothly from his lips. With every chuckle and shared glance, a spark ignited between them, a palpable energy that made the dimly lit room seem brighter. Yet, whispers of doubt tickled her mind. Could she afford to pursue a connection now? When life already bore its heavy weight on her back, days turned into a heart-racing blur as they collaborated and talked late into the night, buried in plans for the big charity gala. Sarah found herself living for those moments with him, her spirit lifting with each conversation. But then, she reminded herself, she had Emily. Would her daughter understand? What would it mean for them if she let someone in her life? One evening, just before the event, Sarah accidentally stumbled into a conversation that unraveled the mystery of Jake, the tech mogul, self-made millionaire, and genius. Her mind raced like a speeding train. The weight of her insecurities crashed down on her again. Would he still see her as a strong woman? A dedicated mom? Or just a single mother grasping at dreams beyond her reach? The night of the gala arrived, the glimmering decorations and excited chatter masking the turmoil bubbling inside her. Under the soft glow of string lights, they walked through the crowd, hands brushing occasionally, electricity sparking in the air. The moment Jake spoke up on stage to champion her strength, she felt heat rush to her cheeks. Eyes locked, judgment clouded the atmosphere in an unwelcome way. In that instant, she feared they were judging her simplicity against his opulence. Whispers cut through the celebration, riddling Sarah with self-doubt. Just when she finally thought she could embrace the affection and acceptance swirling around her, a rumor slithered through the crowd. Was she really just a trophy to him? A fantasy woven between two worlds too disparate. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Torn between her heart and the echoes of the crowd, adrenaline surged through Sarah as she confronted Jake under the twinkling stars. Would love truly conquer all when her very being felt so inadequate? As he reached for her, tension simmered, the swirling energy pushing them closer to a precipice they could either leap from or fall into despair. What awaited them on the other side of this night? The air around them crackled with intensity, every heartbeat a thunderous drum beneath their skin. Jake's hand hovered just inches from Sarah's, trembling slightly, their worlds colliding in that pivotal moment. She could see the questions clouding his gaze, the desire to bridge the gap between them almost palpable. But how could she open the door to her heart, knowing the whispers behind her back? Sarah, his voice was low, coaxing. Talk to me. His words rolled over her like a soothing balm, yet the weight of uncertainty made her hesitate. What do you mean? She countered, knowing full well where the conversation could lead. About us. About this. He gestured between them, his expression a mixture of yearning and concern. Sarah felt a wave of emotion wash over her, a mixture of fear and hope. Around them, the gala pulsed on, laughter and chatter rising and falling like waves crashing against the shore. But in this quiet space created by their connection, everything else faded away. "People are talking," she whispered, glancing around to see familiar faces filled with scrutiny. "You know what they think. A millionaire with a single mom." She couldn't finish the thought. The idea cut too deep. Jake stepped closer, boldly invading her comfort zone. "Let them talk. I'm not interested in what they think. I'm interested in you." His words hung in the air, thick with promise and intensity. Pleasure mixed with anxiety tightened Sarah's chest, each inhale coming with a sense of dread. Could she risk her heart again? What if the whispers were true? What if she was simply someone he couldn't resist? A fleeting fancy. "Jake," she began but faltered, lost in the depths of his eyes. "Sarah, please," he implored. "I know our situation isn't easy, but what I feel for you, it's real. I see you, not just as a single mom but as a fierce, passionate woman." His sincerity knocked the breath out of her. A pulse of hope flickered, but would it withstand the storm of judgment outside their bubble? I can't just sweep my life away and follow a dream that might crumble," she protested, the panic rising again. "My daughter Emily. I'd never ask you to choose between us." His expression softened, and she felt a warmth sweeping through her like sunlight after a storm. "I just want you to let me in. We can figure this out together." Just then, a loud crash from across the room jolted Sarah back to reality. Guests gasped, eyes darting to a drunken reveler sprawled on the floor, wine splashed across the dance area. Sarah's mind reeled as attention shifted. She instinctively wanted to help, to redirect the chaos and return to the moment that felt charged. Jake's hand brushed against hers, warm and steady. "Let us go. We'll handle this together," he said with conviction, urging her to follow him towards the disturbance, but the abrupt shift felt like a reprieve from a critical play that had momentarily been paused. And just as she thought she regained her balance, a sudden shadow loomed from the corner of her eye. There stood Emily, wide-eyed, gripping the edge of the doorway, her face pale. "Mom!" The little girl called, her voice shaking, and in that second, anxiety pierced through Sarah's heart. She turned to Jake, her resolve faltering, one foot stuck in the swirl of adult emotions and the other irrevocably entangled with her daughter's innocent world. What could this mean for them all? "Stay here," Sarah urged Jake, then rushed towards Emily. But as she approached, a dreadful feeling settled in the pit of her stomach. Was it just a coincidence that her daughter appeared now, or had she sensed something looming? With the party erupting around them and Emily's anxious face drawing closer, Sarah felt a chilling truth unfolding like a dark cloud overhead. What storm awaited them beyond this night of confusion and passion? And was it too late to protect their fragile hearts? "Mom!" Emily cried again, her voice strained as Sarah knelt down to meet her gaze. The innocent question swirling in the air begged for reassurance, yet Sarah was drowning in her tumult of emotions. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" The words tasted foreign on her tongue, while her heart raced, sensing the ominous shift in the atmosphere. Emily took a step closer, her small hands gripping the hem of her dress. I saw someone. A man with a weird smile. He was staring at you, Mom." Panic washed over Sarah. A man. Here. Among these glittering guests. Her eyes darted across the room, scanning faces that were supposed to be joyous. But all she found was laughter, now tainted with the echo of Emily's fear. What kind of monster lurked among them? Jake stepped forward, concern etched into his features. "What do you mean, Emily? Can you point him out?" The innocent girl locked her gaze on the crowded dance floor, her fingers still pulling at her dress as if she sought comfort in the fabric. "There. By the pillars." Sarah followed her daughter's eyes, and dread coiled tighter within her. Among the gleaming chandeliers and silk-lined walls, a figure loomed near the shadowy pillars. He stood somewhat apart from the gala, his posture disheveled and his smile unsettlingly wide. stay close. Sarah's protective instincts kicked in, her fingers brushing against Emily's shoulder. Jake's body tensed beside her. I'll check it out. Just a minute. He moved before she could react. No. Don't, but the protest slipped from her lips, lost in the cacophony of the gala's atmosphere. She wasn't sure if her words were too loud, or if the sudden pulse of dread consumed her. Jake disappeared into the throngs of laughter and chatter, a lone beacon moving towards a shadow. Emily pressed further into Sarah's side, soft whimpers escaping her small lips. Mommy, what is happening? Her voice cracked, a reflection of Sarah's own fear. Sarah glanced around, trying to show some semblance of normalcy. The clink of glasses, the rustle of gowns, it was all too vivid, too overwhelming. Her heart pounded as she fought to maintain a brave face. But how could she reassure her daughter when she felt so vulnerable? Just then, the man shifted, his gaze locking onto Sarah. A chill crawled down her spine. His eyes were piercing, black holes that seemed to absorb all light around them. There was something undeniably unsettling about him, a feeling that everything was about to unravel. Jake! She called out, desperation rising. But her voice mingled with the chaos, becoming drowned out by the celebration swirling around them. The guests danced, oblivious to the tension twisting in Sarah's gut, completely unaware of the threat that didn't belong in their midst. Then, suddenly, she spotted Jake. He spoke to the man, his posture firm but the words lost in the din. Why was he engaging? The hairs on the back of her neck stood up. Jake, get away! She yelled, ozone crackling in the air as the laughter faded, a palpable tension settling. But before she could rush forward, the drunken reveler from earlier staggered into her path, spilling a full glass of cheap wine down her gown. The cold liquid soaked through the fabric, warmth shifting into disgust. With heart racing and skin crawling, Sarah felt completely trapped. The laughter swelled behind her, but in that moment, all of it felt like a lie. Just then, Jake's hand shot up, a gesture meant to calm her. It's fine, he said, though his tone had shifted. There was an urgency in his voice that made her heart lurch. Jake, please. Sarah begged, but she couldn't tear her eyes away from the man. He smirked now, his gaze moving from Jake to her, his intentions unreadable. What game was being played here? Suddenly, Emily squeezed her hand, warmth against her cold fear. Mommy, I'm scared. Then it struck her. Deep down, Sarah felt a brooding certainty the man wasn't just watching them. He was waiting for something or someone. As Jake turned back toward her, panic ignited. The shadows pulled closer, and for the first time, she questioned if this night would end in a fairy tale or tragedy. Did this stranger know more than he let on? Why had Emily sensed danger before she did? An ominous realization settled in her gut. What was about to happen next? With every heartbeat, the night thickened with uncertainty, and Sarah braced for the storm that churned just beyond their horizon. Jake moved closer to the man, the laughter and chatter of the gala fading into an eerie quiet around them. Sarah watched with fear creeping through her, it twisted in her stomach like a clenched fist. The way Jake stood, squared off, showed he didn't sense the danger looming just behind him. Hey, are you lost? Jake's voice floated back, calm and even, but Sarah could see the tension in those shoulders she loved so much. The man didn't answer. Instead, he just smiled, that same unnerving grin, all teeth and shadows. Emily's small hand squeezed tighter around Sarah's fingers. Mommy, I want to go home. Her voice trembled, laced with fear. Fighting the urge to flee, Sarah shot a glance toward the man again. He wasn't just a stranger, he was a void, and the space around him felt heavier. She was desperate to shield her daughter from whatever darkness lingered there. Get out of there, Jake. Her voice was a frantic whisper, barely louder than the music playing on the far side of the room. But her words were lost, swallowed by the sounds of laughter and the dimming lights. Then she saw a flicker of something in the man's hand. It was too fast, too discreet, but Sarah's gut twisted as she recognized the glint. In that brief moment, it all clicked. You never really know anyone, not completely. This stranger was hiding much more than just a dangerous smile. Jake. The fierceness in her voice shocked even her. He turned sharply, confusion etched across his face as the man's smile broadened, revealing a flash of predatory intent. In that heartbeat, Sarah's instinct kicked in, the earth shaking beneath her feet. She pulled Emily close, praying to hold on to that warmth in the face of this gathering storm. The music suddenly shifted, a sharp chord resonating through the crowd. A flash of emergency light spun through the room, illuminating the dance floor and the shadowy corners. Guests glanced around, their laughter faltering, confused by the disruption that had pierced the exhilarating hum of their celebration. "Come on!" Sarah exclaimed, urgency driving her footsteps. She grabbed Emily's hand and began to push through the crowd, driven by a wild pulse of protection. As they approached the bar, the commotion behind her heightened. She turned just in time to see Jake close in on the man again, determination flashing across his face. "No!" Sarah screamed, fear twisting her heart in half. Was he really going to confront him? The man, unfazed, looked Jake straight in the eyes, that grin still plastered on his face. Then something glinted again, a metal object caught in the light. In an instant, the world went quiet, laughter died on shocked lips. At that moment, Sarah felt her world tilt. The reality of the scene wasn't just a confrontation. It was a warning that it was now or never. With adrenaline pumping, she surged forward. "Jake! Run!" Her words sliced through the thick air just as the man lunged. In a blur of motion, the crowd erupted into chaos. Women shrieked, men shouted, drinks splashed. Everything turned into a frenzied whirl of fear. What was he going to do? Every instinct told her not to look away. The way he moved, fluid and confident, sent cold waves through her. She pushed against the tide of bodies now scrambling away, her grip on Emily tightening. Just when she thought they might be crushed in the panic, Jake's voice broke through. "Get to the exit." But Sarah couldn't leave him. Not now. Not like this. She turned toward the chaotic dance floor once more, searching for the familiar silhouette of her partner. At that moment, she spotted something worse than fear. It was a glint of recognition in Jake's eyes. "Jake." The man turned, his gaze flickering between the two of them, and time hung in the air like fog settling over the night. Was there a connection? What truth was hidden behind those disquieting eyes? And as their gazes locked, it struck her. What had Emily sensed all along? The questions swirled, but she had no time to explore them. An even deeper dread gripped at her as she felt the weight of the night swell around them. What? Was the truth lurking just out of reach? Before she could leap into action, darkness descended upon them, and Sarah felt all hope slip through her fingers. What would it take to break this circle of terror? It was time to find out. The crowd erupted in a cacophony of screams, shouts, and panicked footsteps. Sarah's heart raced faster than she thought possible, drowning in the chaos swirling around her. She felt the warmth of Emily clutching her hand like a lifeline, a tether to her sanity amidst the storm. "Jake!" Her voice sliced through the noise again, desperate but drowned out by fear. He was still facing the man, that predator's grin only widening, the flickering lights casting eerie shadows across his face. "Get away from him!" Sarah cried, pulling Emily tighter against her side. The last thing she wanted was for her daughter to witness this horror. There was no time to think. No time to understand what was happening. Jake's eyes flickered towards her, his expression hardening as the man moved closer. The tension in the air thickened, palpable as if the very room held its breath. The man's hand shifted, revealing more of the gleaming metal in his palm. It was a blade, a thin, cold weapon meant for harm. A visceral chill coursed through Sarah, flipping her stomach. "Run!" Jake shouted, finally breaking free from the spell binding him to that man. But Sarah didn't need to be told again. She yanked Emily along, navigating the frozen crowd like a ship lost in a storm, adrenaline surging through her. Suddenly, the crowd parted as if dragged by an unseen force, revealing the sinister figure standing alone behind them. The man tilted his head, a strange satisfaction dancing in his eyes as he watched. "Jake!" Sarah choked out again, her voice laced with panic. Jake hesitated, glancing back with uncertainty. In that fleeting moment, a flash of something dangerous ignited between the two men, an understanding that sent ice-cold tendrils of fear spiraling down Sarah's spine. Time felt broken, darting in jagged pieces before her. Should she flee? Or move back? Every cell in her screamed for her to run, to protect Emily at all costs, and then the man took a step forward, each movement slow and deliberate. With him came a weight of darkness, a blanket of dread that settled over Sarah and Emily like a suffocating fog. She tightened her grip on her daughter and stumbled backward. "We need to go. Over there," Jake shouted, pointing toward a service exit on the far side of the room. It was their only salvation, a faint glow breaking through the shadows. Having made up her mind, Sarah pulled Emily toward the exit, determination fueling her every step. They waded through the turmoil, the clicks of high heels, the cries of confusion. The music had morphed into a distant drone, fading to nothing but the pounding of her heart in her ears. "Mommy, are we going to be okay?" Emily's voice trembled, almost lost within the chaos. "Yes, sweetheart. We're going to be fine." The reassurance felt hollow, but she clung to it nonetheless. Just as they neared the door, another voice cut through the noise. "Sarah." It was a figure stepping into the light, a friend, someone who might help. But Sarah's instincts screamed at her. Why would a friend be near such danger? A fleeting glimpse showed her panic reflected in their eyes. They were scared too. Behind her, Jake was still locked in the standoff, breathing heavy and ready to fight if needed. The man's unsettling grin swirled darkness in the air. Why hadn't Jake moved? "Jake, please." Her voice cracked, a plea that hung precariously in the air, and as he turned, that flicker of recognition ignited once more. The tension snapped like a taut string, and at that moment, Sarah realized there was a past, and with it, a deep-rooted fear. Then it hit her, the connection wasn't just between them, it was more sinister. "Jake, look out." But the words were too late. Without warning, the man lunged forward, a predator closing in on its prey. Sarah gasped, her heart racing as the crowd recoiled. The world around them slowed, a deadly ballet unfolding. Would they escape, or were they bound to reveal secrets that were better left hidden? As the crowd surged, Sarah's final thought echoed with certainty: everything was about to change again. Time suspended as Jake's eyes widened, the realization crashing into him like a tidal wave. The man lunged, but it was Jake's instinct that kicked in first. As if spring-loaded, Jake dove, intercepting the attacker just inches from the sharp edge of the blade. The suddenness of the movement sent shockwaves through Sarah, and she instinctively pulled Emily behind a nearby pillar, the solid barrier between them and imminent danger. "Stay here," Sarah hissed, but she wasn't sure if she was reassuring Emily or herself. The fear pooling in her chest threatened to spill over. Jake fought for control, grappling with the man who carried both menace and the promise of secrets. The crowd, still so chaotic, swirled around them as if caught in their own mythic tale. Sounds blended into one another, screams echoing, glass shattering, and the desperate shuffling of bodies trying to escape. Each noise reverberated through the air, amplifying Sarah's sense of urgency. "Mommy, I'm scared," Emily whimpered, her small fingers trembling in Sarah's grip. "I know, sweetie. Just hold on tight," Sarah replied, her voice so calm that it barely sounded like her own. But inside, she was screaming. She wanted to reach out, to help Jake, but the thought of exposing Emily to further violence paralyzed her. The fight between Jake and the man spiraled around them, a living nightmare framed by flashes of fear and resolve. Jake's muscles strained as he pushed against the man's weight, and Sarah could see the tension etched into every line of his face. Suddenly, with a swift move, the man hurled Jake into the crowd. Bodies surged backward, creating an opening that sent Jake tumbling towards Sarah and Emily. With a solid thud, he crashed into the pillar beside them, looking dazed but determined. "Get out of here!" He spat breathlessly, his eyes blazing with urgency. "No!" Sarah shouted back, fear igniting rage within her. "Not without you." But Jake shook his head, breathing heavy, with sweat glistening on his brow. The man was still out there, raging like a storm. "You have to protect Emily. I can hold him off. Just go." The words twisted in her gut, a knife of despair sinking in deeper with the thought of leaving Jake behind. She wanted to argue, to question why they stood paralyzed at this moment, torn between love, fear, and responsibility, but before she could say another word, the man's cold laughter echoed towards them, hard and cruel. "You think you can keep this fake family together? You're nothing but pawns in a game you don't even understand." Sarah's heart dropped. What game? What truth lay buried beneath the surface? In that instant, revelation washed over her like a surge of ice water. There was more to Jake, more to everything that had led them here. But there wasn't time to ask. "Come on!" Jake yelled while eyeing the man, their gazes locked in a deadly standoff. "I'll get him distracted. Move!" And with that, he surged forward again, throwing his frame against the man, and in that split second, everything changed. The room exploded with new screams. Sarah seized hold of Emily's hand tighter than ever, their pulse synchronized, beating in time with the terror in their hearts. "Mommy, please!" Emily cried, as they lurched towards the exit. They were mere steps away when the lights flickered violently, darkness swallowing them whole. For a breathless moment, silence draped over the room as if time itself had stopped, then the chaos resumed. She and Emily stumbled into the bright light of the service exit, but a shadow loomed behind them, and the finality of their choice gripped Sarah. Would they escape this? Or was this the moment everything shattered into pieces? As she pulled Emily through the door, a single, chilling laugh echoed behind them, filling Sarah with dread. A question hung in the air, unresolved and dangerous. What dark past tied Jake to the man they were fleeing from? Just as they burst outside into the cool night, another sound cut through the unmistakable click of a gun being cocked. The chase had just begun. The cool night air rushed around Sarah like a whirlwind, each breath a struggle to stay calm. The moon hung high, casting an eerie glow on the darkened streets as she gripped Emily's hand. Fear pulsed through her veins, overshadowed only by the adrenaline that filled her every thought. The gun sea had shattered what little hope remained. "Run!" she urged, pulling Emily along with her. The child stumbled, eyes wide and terrified. "What about Jake?" Emily pleaded, her small voice cracking. "We'll find him. I promise." Sarah lied through gritted teeth. The truth was, she had no guarantee that Jake was safe, no assurance he was alive. The thought clawed at her, a bitter poison spreading through her heart. They darted down the alley, the sounds of chaos still echoing behind them, mingling with the distant whir of sirens. Sarah's mind raced. What had she stepped into? What dark world had Jake dragged them into? Emily's grip tightened, her tiny fingers trembling. "Mommy, just a little further, sweetheart," Sarah encouraged, trying to sound more confident than she felt. The shadows loomed around them, suffocating in their intensity. The alley opened up into a narrow street, and panic surged when Sarah spotted a figure moving in the distance. Her heart raced, the instinct to protect Emily overwhelming any thoughts of hesitation. But as the figure came into view, her stomach twisted in knots. It was the man, the one who had attacked Jake. "Sarah!" he called, his voice taunting and smooth, sending a chill down her spine. "You think you can escape? You don't know what you're running from." "Mommy!" Emily gasped, realizing who it was. "Don't look back!" Sarah barked, dragging her daughter with her. They needed to find an escape, and fast. Suddenly, the threat of the man seemed to multiply. Shadows darted around her, voices whispered her name, and fear seeped into her bones. They were being hunted. Where are we going? Emily's voice was small and scared. There's a coffee shop on the corner. We can hide there, Sarah replied, knowing it was a flimsy plan. But hiding felt better than running blindly into the unknown. As they neared the cafe, a flickering neon sign cast an inviting glow on the pavement. They rushed inside, slamming the door behind them. The haven of familiarity surrounded them: bright lights, the soft hum of conversation, and the comforting scent of coffee. But it was an illusion, a facade that couldn't shield them from the danger lurking just outside. They huddled in a corner, shadows dancing across their faces as they tried to blend into the background. Heavy silence enveloped them, but it was pierced by the sound of footsteps approaching the door. Sarah's breath hitched, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. Is he coming in? Emily whispered, eyes darting toward the glass door. I'm not sure, Sarah replied, peering around. Panic threatened to overtake her. They couldn't be caught here, not when they were so close to safety. The door jingled open, and a gust of wind swept in, chilling the air around them. Sarah's stomach dropped as she spotted a man in a dark jacket scanning the room, the same man who had just attacked Jake. His smile was predatory, and her blood ran cold. Where are you hiding, Sarah? He called, the amusement in his voice slicing through the coffee shop's warmth. You can't run from the truth. It's coming for you. The tension was palpable, each second stretching into eternity. She held Emily close, both praying for a miracle while fear paralyzed her. Out of nowhere, a sudden crash echoed from the kitchen area behind them. Another figure stumbled through, panic in his eyes, a stranger who looked like he had just seen a ghost. They're coming. We need to move. Sarah glanced at Emily, fear and determination clashing within her. We can't stay here. Follow him. As they bolted toward the exit, the man turned sharply, baring his teeth. You think you can escape? This isn't over. But they had no choice. They needed to survive. As they slipped through the crowd, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of impending doom. What truth was this man alluding to? With every step, she felt the weight of unanswered questions looming over her. The night was far from over. And with danger on their heels, she wondered just how far they would go to uncover the secrets that entangled their lives. Would they finally uncover the truth behind Jake, or were they merely puppets in a game dictated by shadows? Suddenly, a deafening crash erupted just outside the door. The ground shook beneath them, and the walls felt as if they were closing in. What now? The air erupted with chaos as Sarah bolted from the cafe, Emily's small hand clutching hers like a lifeline. The defiant roar of the explosion seemed to swallow the world whole, drowning out the screams and murmurs of the onlookers who had gathered, some frozen in shock while others scrambled frantically to flee. Keep running. Sarah yelled, adrenaline surging through her like a tidal wave. She had to protect Emily, nothing else mattered. The path ahead blurred under the strobe of panic, and her footfalls echoed on the concrete like thunderclaps. Just ahead, the alley twisted into darkness, a narrow passage that beckoned like a cave. With no choice to make, Sarah turned sharply, pulling Emily into the shadows. Uncertainty gnawed at her, but she couldn't look back, couldn't let fear guide her. Mommy, Emily cried, her voice fragile and trembling. I'm right here, Sarah assured her, her heart aching for the panic her daughter felt. Just hold on. The darkness enveloped them, swallowing the sounds of the chaos outside, creating a cocoon of silence that momentarily shielded them from the horror. But it was a fleeting solace. The shadows darting just beyond the entrance reminded her that danger lurked close. His voice echoed in her mind, taunting her. Where are you hiding, Sarah? There was no escaping it, the weight of the chase that wrapped around her like a noose. What truth? What truth about Jake? The questions rifled through her thoughts, threatening to overwhelm her. Mommy. I can't see. Emily whimpered, panic rising in her voice as she squeezed Sarah's hand tighter. It's okay, sweetheart. Just breathe. Sarah's voice was steadier than she felt. A muffled sound permeated the thick silence, footsteps drawing nearer, then fading. Was it him? She didn't know. Over there. A voice emerged from the darkness. Sarah squinted, trying to discern who it was. With caution, she led Emily deeper into the alley until they found themselves near a dumpster, hidden from sight. "Please, don't let it be him," she murmured, the knot in her stomach tightening as dread filled her. Then her eyes caught sight of a flicker of movement, another man, disheveled and wild-eyed, barreling down the alley toward them. "Come on. They're on to you. We need to get out of here," he shouted, urgency lacing his words. "Who are you?" Sarah demanded, her protective instincts flaring as she shielded Emily behind her. "No time for questions," he pleaded, glancing over his shoulder as if expecting the worst. "I was with your husband. We need to move, before they find you." His words hit her like a punch. Jake. Memories surged his laughter, the warmth of their home, the time he promised he would never leave her. But could she trust this stranger? "Mommy." Emily tugged her hand, desperation reflecting in her big eyes. "Let us go," Sarah shouted, her heart racing with determination. If Jake was in danger, then she couldn't waste another second. She led Emily to the man, their fates intertwining in the dark. As they hurried through the alley's narrow confines, Sarah felt a sudden jolt, a slight stumble as her foot caught on a loose cobblestone. The stranger steadied her with a firm grip. "Watch your step. Why were you with Jake?" Sarah demanded, her voice cold but anxious. He found something. Something big. That's why they're after him," the man replied, darting a glance behind them. "Was it dangerous?" Caution washed over her like a wave. "Deadly," he whispered, urgency intensifying. "But that's not the worst of it." The alley opened up again into a main road, illuminated by neon signs and the scatter of night owls. Cars zoomed by, people moved swiftly, unaware of the treachery simmering just a heartbeat away. As they reached the edge of the sidewalk, Sarah's heart raced when she caught sight of a sleek black car, not just any car, but the same one she had seen earlier. "Get in," the man ordered, pushing doors open without a second thought. "Do we trust him?" Emily's small voice pierced Sarah's cautious brain, igniting a flicker of fear in her heart. "I don't know," Sarah admitted, her mind racing, but then the sound of heavy footsteps echoed behind them, shouts, angry voices. "Mommy! They're coming!" Emily trembled beside her. Without thinking, Sarah yanked open the door, ushering Emily inside. The car was their ticket to safety, but it felt like stepping onto a precarious tightrope. As they scrambled in, she glanced over her shoulder one last time. The man was close behind them, fear etched on his features, and shadows loomed dangerously close. "Start the engine," he yelled as he slid in next to Sarah. In an instant, the driver's side door flew open. A figure wearing that dark jacket lunged toward them, rage distorting his face. "Go, go, go!" The car roared to life, tires screeching as they shot into the night. As they sped away, heart racing with both desperation and fear, Sarah's mind churned with unanswered questions. What secret hung over Jake's head? What deadly game were they caught in? And as she locked eyes with the stranger beside her, one thing became clear: this night was far from over. What had they awakened in the darkness? The engine growled as they hurtled down the increasingly desolate street, the neon lights flickering past like warnings. Sarah's heart worked overtime, pounding in her chest as if to keep up with their frantic pace. The man beside her gripped the dashboard, his knuckles white. "Who are they?" Sarah demanded, her voice strained. "Does it matter? We need to get away." He snapped back, glancing in his side mirror. Panic danced across his sharp features. "Let's just," I said now." The urgency in his voice cut through her, and she fell silent, fear bubbling in her throat. Emily's large eyes darted between them, filling with confusion. "Mommy, what's happening?" "It's okay, love. Just hang on tight," Sarah soothed, though she could hear her own fear creeping into her voice. The night thickened around them, shadows stretching unnaturally long as the city lights faded into the distance. They approached a fork in the road, and the man jerked the wheel sharply to the left, tires screeching in protest. "What did Jake find?" she asked, desperation fueling her voice as every second stretched painfully. He hesitated before answering, eyes flickering with indecision. "A file. Something big concerning powerful people." Powerful people? The words tasted bitter on her tongue. Images rushed through her mind, Jake buried in worry, whispers of phone calls, nights spent pacing the floor. "Do you mean dangerous? Like?" "Very dangerous," he interrupted, stealing another glance over his shoulder. "Trust me, they won't stop until they have him. Or you." A lump formed in Sarah's throat. "But I don't understand. I told you, not now." He gritted his teeth against a new wave of fear washing over his features. They jostled through the streets, and the tension slithered between them, thick as a fog. Sarah turned her head, desperate to see behind them. Was someone following? Moments later, he veered sharply again, swerving down a narrow side street. The car's tires gripped the wet pavement, and the world outside rushed by in a blur of dark and light. She clasped Emily's hand even tighter, trying to be a rock in the storm swirling around them. A sudden screech pierced the air. The man turned back to her, eyes wide with urgency. "We need a new plan. This isn't going to hold for long." "Where do we go?" she asked, her heart racing, terror clawing at her chest. "There's a safe house nearby," he said, voice low and hurried. "I can get you there, but you need to trust me. There's no one you can turn to. Not even the police." She spat, skepticism bubbling to the surface. "Trust me on this." "They're in on it," he insisted, the fear etched on his face making her stomach knot. Just then, a loud thud reverberated through the car. Something or someone had slammed into the back of it. Her heart plunged at the sound, throat tightening with dread as she twisted to look behind them. "Go! Go!" The man's voice was frantic now. They swooped around a corner into another darkened lane, the tightness of space closing in around them. Sarah glanced at Emily, who was gripping her doll, eyes wide and glued to the rear window. "Stay down, Em," Sarah ordered, her voice sharp as she ducked closer to her daughter, heart hammering. The intimacy of the moment was both comforting and chilling. With a sudden jolt, the man slammed the brakes, throwing Sarah forward. The car bucked and then stopped. "We've got to hide," he said sharply as he swung open the door. "What are you doing?" "Stay here," he barked, bolting out of the car, glancing wildly around. "What if they find us?" Sarah whispered. "They will," he shot back. "But I need to buy us a minute." Her heart sank. Emily, before she could finish, he was gone, slipping into the shadows like a shadow himself. The night closed in around her, bleak and heavy with silence. Sarah's pulse thundered in her ears, the darkness amplifying every sound, the rustle of leaves, the distant hum of a struggling engine. "Mommy?" Emily whispered, fear threading through her small voice. "Shoo. We just need to stay still, sweetheart." But just as reassurance filled the air, a message pierced the void of night, a familiar ringtone. Sarah's eyes widened in realization. Jake's phone. She had never thought to silence it. It echoed from the pocket of the abandoned jacket on the floor, a remnant left behind in their rush. "Mommy." Emily pressed closer, a whimper escaping her lips. "What do I do?" She panicked, the phone vibrating on the car floor, each ring a siren in the night, and as the vibration surged once again, Sarah felt the weight of choices pressing down on her like a boulder. Was this the moment everything changed? Would they finally learn the truth, or would it lead them deeper into danger? As Emily's fearful gaze locked onto hers, Sarah realized she had a decision to make. What would she risk to protect her daughter? Outside the car, darkness swirled, and every shadow shifted ominously. In that moment, Sarah knew she needed to act, but could she face what came next? Before she could gather her thoughts, footsteps echoed in the distance, heavy, pressing, relentless. And they were getting closer. As the footsteps drew nearer, panic swelled within Sarah's chest. Time felt like quicksand, each second stretching painfully until the familiar ringtone of Jake's phone became a deafening reminder of the choice she was forced to make. "I can't let them find us," she murmured under her breath, gripping Emily tighter as the shadows thickened. "The phone, Mommy." Emily whispered urgently, her small face reflecting fear. "What if they hear it?" In a rush of panic, Sarah dove down, scrambling to silence the device. Her fingers trembled as she reached for the jacket on the floor, fumbling through the fabric until she found the source of the noise. Her heart raced, urgency flooding her musty senses as she finally pressed the end call button, silencing the ringtone just in time. The footsteps paused outside. Breath hitching in her throat, the expectation hung thick in the air. What if it was him? What if he was coming to claim what he thought belonged to him? Discreetly, she pulled Emily closer, her small frame still trembling with fear. "Stay very quiet," she whispered, hoping her daughter understood how serious this was. Just then, the shadows shifted again, a figure darting into view. Sarah's breath caught. It was the stranger returning. "Get out of the car," he hissed urgently. "Who is it?" she snapped, turning away from her instinct to trust. "No time. Just come on." He pushed the door open wider, offering a glimmer of hope that they could escape again. Frozen between fear and survival, Sarah saw no other option. Taking Emily's hand firmly, she climbed out of the car, feeling exposed in the dim light. "Where do we go?" she demanded softly, scanning for any sign of danger. "Follow me," he urged as the sound of distant voices echoed ominously. He dashed down an alley, shadows weaving and guiding them deeper into the night's embrace. "Mommy?" Emily whispered, her voice barely above a breath. "I'm here, sweetheart," Sarah replied, squeezing Emily's hand as they hurried along the narrow passage, heart racing with urgency. They rounded a corner, and suddenly, the stranger halted in front of a nondescript door set into a high brick wall. "This is it," he said, urgency hammering each word. "Are you sure?" Sarah glanced back toward the path they came from, nerves fraying as those earlier footsteps returned, echoing with intent. "Trust me." He reached for the door, flinging it open, the stale air rushing out in a whirl. Inside, pushing her daughter ahead of her, Sarah stepped through, the door slamming shut behind them. Darkness enveloped them, but a sliver of moonlight peeked through a grimy window, revealing walls lined with dull crates and forgotten remnants. "What is this place?" she breathed, scanning their surroundings. "A safe house." He moved swiftly, glancing around, listening carefully for any sign that they were being followed. "Someone will be here soon." As she caught her breath, a torrent of questions surged within her. Who were those men? And why did they want Jake? The stranger hesitated, his face a mask of grim determination. "Your boyfriend might have crossed the wrong people." "What did he find?" She pressed sharply, drawing closer that he took a breath, dread shadowing his features. "Top secret information about a cartel. Jake was digging too deep, and it's put you both in danger." The weight of his words crashed over her like a tidal wave. "Danger?" she echoed, panic rising again. For Emily. For the first time, the man's resolve faltered. "Yes. They'll stop at nothing to silence anyone connected. You can't go back, nobody's safe." Sarah felt the blood drain from her face as fear wrapped around her heart. Was Jake hiding something more? Were they merely pieces on this dangerous chessboard? Before she could process it, a loud crash echoed from the other side of the building, heavy boots pounding towards them, the distance shrinking frighteningly fast. "It's them," he hissed, grabbing Sarah's arm. "Move." They rushed to the other side of the building, hearts racing in sync. We have to find another way out. They could hear voices, low and menacing. Can we trust you? Sarah realized how little she knew about this man. But right now, trust felt like a luxury she couldn't afford. Just stick close. Trust me or not, your life and your daughter's are on the line. As the voices grew nearer, the man pushed through a narrow door, leading them to a rickety staircase. Up. Now. Mommy, I don't want to, Emily squeaked, fear evident in her wide eyes. We have to go, Em. I promise we'll be okay, Sarah reassured, adrenaline charging through her limbs. She held on to her daughter tightly, even as dread crept up her spine. They climbed the stairs quickly, echoes of uncertainty trailing behind them. The sound of angry voices pierced through the air, shouting out orders. We know you're in there. There's nowhere to run. Faster. The stranger urged as they reached the top. Emily's small hands gripped Sarah's tightly. I'm scared. I know. Sarah replied, her voice trembling. Each breath grew heavier, their sanctuary swiftly transforming into a trap. We'll find another way, she said desperately. And just as they turned the corner, everything shifted. Ahead loomed a window, just one. The darkness below felt like an abyss. Can we jump? Sarah whispered, questioning every ounce of her instincts. They won't break through the door in time. Hold on to her. The man turned his gaze from the window to Sarah. On 3. One time slowed as Sarah locked eyes with Emily, feeling the essence of life it held flicker like candlelight. 2. Her heart raced, the weight of every decision bearing down on her. 3. With a deep breath, they leapt together, the night air wrapping around them like a shroud, carrying them away from danger but perhaps deeper into the unknown. Would anything feel safe again? What awaited them on the other side? But they were alive. Together, they would forge through the shadowy haze, find Jake, uncover the truth, and stand against whatever darkness lay ahead. Because with fear as their fuel, there was hope, and a promise to keep them moving forward, and as they landed, a flicker of determination sparked in Sarah's heart. They would face the storm together, no matter what it took. In that moment, she vowed not just to protect her daughter but to reclaim their lives from the shadows. No matter what awaited them, she would do whatever it took to win back their story. This was not the end, it was just the beginning. Now, if you've been following this heart-pounding adventure, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep this journey alive. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this thrilling conclusion. What do you think will happen next? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support is what makes all of this possible. Let us keep the momentum going together.